This is Justin Scoop on Friday, October 24th, 2025. Taking a look at SPX, where we got a new all-time high and had a really strong gap up to get there. So we were talking about this being a really nice rest after battle, or kind of a bit of a stair step. Really nice gap up, closed right about on this uptrend line. Um, we'll see what we do with it. It would have been nice if we closed a little stronger, a little closer to the high there. But there was some selling right at the close, which we'll get into because yeah, it was actually really cool. So with this gap up, we there were so many opportunities to buy. There were so many S curves in here. Um, so the main thing, or a couple things. So each time we went and made a high here and a high here and a high here and a high here and then another one here. All these are new all-time highs. It's like, okay, what's going to happen? Are we going to keep making all-time highs? Are we going to keep going up? Um, this was kind of, this was steep, right? And then it started to slow down and then really slow down. And then all of a sudden we got something like this. And you could really easily draw that in and be buying here. Seriously. Could be buying there and getting out right here. And that was a great setup to just load in and go. And then that made another new all-time high. Look at that. Then this one looked like kind of a really clean S curve, maybe turning into a cup and handle, but then it pulled back further. And it's like, okay, is this a new lower low? Are we reversing? We didn't quite pull back down enough to connect that. It was also a little further away. Like I would have liked to here and then there and then this and then up more, but we didn't get that. I can't just say, oh, I wanted to do this, but wait for the setup. So we were doing some consolidating. So all of this is really some nice, clean, making some kind of lower highs, some higher lows in here, but it actually gets better than that. So I'm going to clear all of this, and it's so much cleaner to just draw it right here on the chart. So you draw this and basically connect here, but I'm just going to keep on drawing because it's just quicker. Look at this. Look how clean this was. Right into the low here, into the low, into the low, into the low. Yeah, we're right on it, but still, it's like that's your range. And then this one is pretty much like right on. Like look at that consolidation. So we're making an ascending triangle, and we turn out to just kind of chop, like we just go sideways. And then it's like, okay, are we actually rolling over? Is this what's going to happen? Um, Let me switch over to this again. It's like, is this going to roll down? Is this breaking down? Okay, we're going to retest, then we're going to go. Nope, that was not a place to buy, and the other all-time high. But this one, it's like, okay, it didn't really get too much further. And what I was thinking at this point is like, okay, we kind of made a high, and we definitely hesitated through all of this. And if we make another all-time high, that's the trap, right? So go bearish, right? So I was in bearish. Yep. Okay, double topped. This is great. Started to roll down, and I was out, and I'm like, okay, I'm driving. I can't be watching this trade. I just need to get out. So I set a target and closer than I wanted it to be, and I got out somewhere in here. Had I held, it would have taken to about right here. It was at 257 that would have exited at my target. So I bought at $1 and was out at uh, I was out over here at $2. So I only doubled the option, but it went all the way to 6 and actually went to 10 right here. And that's the 6,800 put. So that was really cool. Now, what also set that up, I got to zoom out and oh, I'm still drawing. I need to switch back to not that tool, this tool. I'm going to get rid of these and then I can zoom out. Okay. So down here on the right, 6,800 put, bought for $1 at, I think it was at 212, somewhere in here. One of these candles here. Yeah, at 212, I was filled. So like at this candle. And then I exited at for $2 at 241. So the high there. It was during this candle where it pushed up at 241. I was out. It's like, okay, that works. And then, it was just really choppy through here. I did it as an absolute zero. So I could have just held on. But being out, it's like, all right, let me just set a target that I'm okay with, and then I'll watch it into the close. And sure enough, it, just continued to move. The high ended up getting up to 1050 here. My target of six was would have filled at, no, not quite that candle. That's only 580. So it actually would have taken another minute to fill. Okay. No, at 257. That's what I said. So the last 3 minute candle would have filled. I was looking at the 1 minute candle on Thinkorswim on my phone. Uh, so part of that being the target is it's a retest back up here, but that's the retest. That's what I wanted to talk about in terms of setting this up. So for this to pull down into this price here, it was also a retest of the low that we had put in on the 6810. And I was in the 6810 at one point today too. So if I could draw this straight, there was a really nice low here, here, and then chop, and then broke down, and then we retested. And where we retested was right into that low. And we talked about this earlier this week. It's like, look for that price. If that, we're retesting into a low, if we actually get there, that's a great opportunity on another option going the other direction. Now, in this case, it was the 6800 versus the 6810. But I found that this was just really great to kind of set these up to kind of just see what was going on. So um, because I was in the 6810 trading this, I pretty much was looking for that price to come back up and to reverse. So I was in this at $1 and out at two. Um, no, I was in this at $1 and out at 1.5. Uh, just because that was the target I had set, and then with I could have held on to two. I think it got up to two. Let me switch back over to turn the fan to hit again. Okay, so the high here was 1.9, so it didn't get up to two. Got close. Oh, 1.8 was the low, not two. Okay, so I got out at 1.5. That was about here. It was at 204. So that was during this candle. So right back into these lows, all the same lows, just a little lower price. So as that was retesting, it's like, okay, I'm out. It's like, wait, this is the right place. It's making, looking at the setup, it's making a new all-time high. This could totally be a trap. We've been really strong. We need to kind of pull back a little bit more. And I thought we could pull back some. I didn't know we'd settle down this hard. Um, but I thought, okay, we should at least get to kind of the low here. But then as it was going a little more sideways, I thought it'd be a little quicker. But I guess it's about as steep as this sell-off, not quite as steep as this one, close to that one. So anyway, just looking at the other option. So I was in the 6810. I was in a number of day trades today. I was in 6825 call, 6775 put, 6810 call, 6800 put. So all SPX stuff there for those four trades, and each one exit for a small gain. So it took a lot of just jumping back and forth. I love being able to do that. That's what the market affords us to be able to do, is just be able to get into a trade, get out of a trade. And then it worked really well, just taking the ebbs and flows of the market. Um, a little bit of a smaller day. The range today was 35 points. We were up quite a bit at open. We basically just bought straight up. I think we have a shaved bottom. The open and the low are the same price. Yep. But then we sold back off obviously from the high. So we got a little bit of an upper wick. That's going to be profit taking, but we could definitely continue up from here. But just, yeah, some really great setups, both directions, for some small gains, some small wins. I don't like repeating options during the same day. So I was moving around to different strikes and trying to figure out the best ones. And a lot of it, I was actually out. So I was on my phone doing it. But I'm pretty quick at that. So some of the morning, being in front of the computer and being able to ride, some of these trades going up, seeing the patterns form. This was just a great setup with, um, having this. This was really, really, really clean. I just talked about yesterday not really being clean. This was a really nice touch here, and then touched again, and that would have been a great place to buy and just hold on to that as it ran right through the upper end of that channel. So way cleaner than yesterday. So hopefully some folks took advantage of that. Really nice setup, great opportunities to get into a number of different calls there. And was because it was meeting kind of that framework, the channels, uh, you could just set some lines up and set alerts and just be ready to go, ready to send the trades. So I'm not going to go through all the trades I took today, but yeah, this was one of the better ones because of just the setup on the call, retesting back into the lows here at the right time to look for the reversal. And sure enough, the reversal came in with the trap setup. Um, yeah, just a great sell-off right at the close here. Enough of a sell-off that this would have been a much better trade had I held on to it. In hindsight, I could have, but I was literally driving and I saw it fill. It's like, okay, I'm out. I don't have to think about while I'm driving. And then I was able to get back in front of the computer through the close and a little bit past the close. So, but yeah, it just continues to sell off. It's like, I don't have a great entry anymore. I could have gotten back in. Obviously, I could have gotten back into these prices here, but I don't like to repeat options. So going with either the 67.95 put or the 68.05 put, either one of those, kind of change the risk profile a little bit. Not sure that we're going to push down all the way through the 67.95, but if we look at that one, 67.95 here, this had a really nice move in the last couple minutes. So yeah, this would have been a great one to get into. Let's zoom in on this. So you start seeing it move and you got to get in. You just really got to get in. Buying at maybe zero point 0.5. And you're just going to flip it out. You're not going to hold. I mean, you can try to hold into the last minute on something like this. Um, Actually, let's go look at that tick chart again because that will help kind of see what was actually happening right at the close here. So this is from 252. So definitely a great opportunity here, but you just don't know that it's going to have that kind of move till it really starts moving, which really starts going. It's crazy. I say that, and then this has a great framework here on the tick chart. Like this is really clean on the ticks. I did not expect that. Okay. Yeah, that I didn't see that at the end of the day today. That would have been phenomenal to be in this option and just ride the ticks. Um, so I mean, the only issue is it takes two of these points to connect and set this up. So I didn't even draw that very clean. But if you waited for the third touch, let's see if I can line that up a little cleaner. The low. If you wait for the third touch, that's here. You're buying at $1 at 257, right at 257, 258. So it literally has to go. I wouldn't do this with SPX. I don't like getting into something at 257 on SPX. I have. Most of the time, I think it's easy to lose on that, but obviously only do an absolute zero. This can have incredible swings on the options price. Um, but I would switch over to SPY, and I was actually trading SPY right into the close. And actually, it goes through. Um, it closed. So the rest of the normal market closes. The cash sessions close at 3. SPY closes at 3:15 Central Time. This is what I've observed. Double check with your broker what you have access to. Um, but yeah, we had a really great move right into the close. And I missed. I had my target a little further out, didn't get filled right at the close. Got filled at a different, it made a tiny gain on an SPY trade right at the close or right past the close because I was trading it almost till 3:15. I try and be out around 308, 309, 310, somewhere in there. Um, but I would have had a better fill if I had held to 313 or 314 and then be out. You got to be out at 314. But I don't like doing that on SPY. I'm used to that kind of stuff on SPX with absolute zero. but I'm not as used to that going into the 314 time with SPY. So that's one of the muscles I'm working on. Uh, but this had a great setup. Um, the same kind of move. Actually, I guess I can go look at it. I don't normally do this, but we can go look at the SPY today, and that was the 67 or the 677. So this came down to point 0.2, had a shot up to 0.25, no, up to 0.27. So you literally could have bought 0.5 in the last few minutes here. Buy for 0.5. Actually, that's more than the last few minutes. That's all the way back to not many people were buying this all the way into 252 because we're still on the tick chart. Actually, let me switch back over to let's go to the 1 minute. And just kind of spread this out and see. That's kind of harder. Yeah, there's no frame there, no framework. It's just an absolute zero. It's just, okay, we're having some selling. What kind of thing can we do here? And sure enough, so buy it like 0.5 or 0.4 or zero point 0.3, it would have filled at, should have filled at. And then it shot up in the last minute here up to 0.27. I had my target a little further out, thinking it would continue to do that after the close. I've seen that happen, but it didn't today. And so if we switch back over to the ticks, so you can see a little bit more of that move in the ticks, but it's still, yeah, there was still some time here. So getting in, I was in at 257 on SPY because I know I've got more time than SPX. So I was in at 0.25, and then I had a target further out than this. And if I had changed my target to 0.5, you can be in 20 contracts and flip 20 contracts pretty quick. And 20 contracts times 0.05 is $100. So it's doing $100. And you pay more in commissions, obviously, than one contract and commissions on SPX. So it's more expensive over here. But buying at 0.5 and flipping out at 0.25, that's $400 gain with 20 contracts minus commissions. So commissions are, what was that? 13. My commissions with Thinkorswim or Schwab, it's like $13 then, I think. So, which is not bad for 20 contracts in, making a trade like this within 2 minutes, being up $400. So, wish I had gotten out at 0.25, but then I was seeing this move right at 3 o'clock, right at the close, and it didn't quite get back up to the 0.25. And then I was out just for a small gain of 0.26 or 0.06 at 311, just because I don't like being in at that time. And then it moved up here, and I could have been out for, I don't know if 0.15 would have filled. Let's say 0.1 would have filled. So I would have gotten $100 back or made another 100 minus commissions. So risk 100, make 100. That would have been a great setup. Instead, I just made $20, which doesn't even cover commissions round trip. So won on the trade, but lost in terms of the total in and out with commissions. So, but other trades in the day covered. So that was fine. But yeah, that's just kind of better way to go with SPY right at the close like this. But definitely build that muscle and make sure you understand what the implications are if you're in it. And I've had the broker exit me at 308. So that's kind of the time I'm always watching, like, okay, let me be ready with this. And they charge much more when they do it. I think there was an additional $25 charge the time that I saw that happen. That was just a couple months ago. So yeah, got a couple things covered today. So we'll see if we continue with some strength. We had a nice little selling, but we could still keep pushing up. We could totally keep pushing up. We got the 6,800. That was the next level I was looking at on SPX. I don't know if we're going to keep pushing straight up, and keep going, but we've rested enough, especially, all of this consolidation here we've done, and then breaking out, going sideways, S curve here. Now we're just continuing to move bullish, and the bearish framework story looks like it's done. But if we get a close below this low, watch out, because we should close this gap. and we may have more selling come in, could even come back down to this low. But the head and shoulders framework is no longer valid. A lot of things changed with today's move. So I'm going to take some time to look through that this weekend too. So hope this helps. This is Justin. Thanks.